Welcome back to the Daily Crypto Report, where we cover the latest in crypto, finance, and tech. Today, we're diving into an intriguing concept that's been gaining attention: the idea of a United States strategic Bitcoin reserve. What is it? Why is it important? And how could it impact the national debt and the price of Bitcoin itself? Stick around because we're breaking it all down right here, right now. First off, what exactly is the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve? The concept is simple. Just like the U.S. maintains a strategic petroleum reserve to ensure energy security, the idea here is to create a reserve of Bitcoin as a strategic financial asset. Bitcoin is often called digital gold because of its scarcity, decentralized nature, and resistance to inflation. A strategic reserve would allow the U.S. government to hold Bitcoin as a hedge against economic instability, hyperinflation, and even geopolitical risks. This isn't just a wild idea. Other countries like El Salvador and even China, indirectly through seized Bitcoin, have already started holding Bitcoin. The U.S. entering the Bitcoin game could mark a major milestone for both national security and the global crypto market. So why would the U.S. consider a Bitcoin reserve important? Let's break it down into 3 key reasons. Hedge against inflation. The U.S. dollar has faced significant inflationary pressure, especially after the pandemic and quantitative easing policies. Bitcoin, with its fixed supply of 21 million coins, offers an inflation-proof asset that could stabilize national wealth over time. Geopolitical competition. Countries like China have been exploring central bank digital currencies and quietly accumulating Bitcoin. If the U.S. doesn't act, it risks falling behind in the global race for financial innovation and influence. Economic security. As the world moves toward decentralized finance, DeFi, and blockchain technology, having a Bitcoin reserve could give the U.S. an edge in navigating the transition to a more digital and decentralized economy. So who would be responsible for creating and managing a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve? Government entities. Key players would likely include the U.S. Treasury Department, the Federal Reserve, and possibly the Department of Defense for cybersecurity oversight. Private sector collaboration. Private blockchain companies, Bitcoin miners, and financial institutions would probably play a role in facilitating secure acquisition and storage of Bitcoin. Congressional advocates. There are already vocal crypto supporters in Congress, like Senator Cynthia Lummis and Congressman Warren Davidson, who have pushed for pro-Bitcoin legislation. These leaders would likely champion the establishment of a Bitcoin reserve. Crypto community. The broader crypto community, including developers and investors, would also play a role by advocating for transparency, best practices, and accountability in how the reserve is managed. Now let's talk about the big elephant in the room: U.S. national debt. How could a Bitcoin reserve impact it? Debt reduction through asset appreciation. Bitcoin has historically shown significant price appreciation over time. If the U.S. buys Bitcoin and holds it for the long term, the rising value of Bitcoin could help offset some of the national debt. Diversified reserve assets. Currently, the U.S. relies heavily on fiat currency and traditional assets like bonds for its reserves. Adding Bitcoin would diversify the reserve portfolio, potentially reducing reliance on debt-based financial instruments. Revenue from Bitcoin taxes. The government could also generate revenue through Bitcoin-related activities, such as taxation on transactions, mining operations, or even trading its reserve under certain conditions. Risk of volatility. Of course, there's a flip side. Bitcoin's price is highly volatile. If the U.S. were to buy Bitcoin during a bull market and the price later crashes, it could lead to short-term financial challenges. Managing this volatility would be crucial. Next, let's talk about how a U.S. Bitcoin reserve could affect Bitcoin's price. Increased demand. If the U.S. starts accumulating Bitcoin, it would create significant demand. This could drive up Bitcoin's price, especially considering its limited supply of 21 million coins. Institutional legitimacy. A U.S. Bitcoin reserve would signal to the world that Bitcoin is a legitimate store of value. This could lead to more institutional and retail investors entering the market, further boosting its price. Global competition. Other countries might follow the U.S. lead and start acquiring Bitcoin for their reserves. This digital gold rush would likely put upward pressure on Bitcoin prices. Market stability. Over time. While initial buying by the US could lead to price spikes, a stable reserve strategy might help smooth out long-term price volatility by adding a layer of institutional stability. Of course, implementing a US Bitcoin reserve isn't without its challenges. Regulatory uncertainty. There's still a lot of debate in the US about how Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies should be regulated. These unresolved issues could delay or complicate the creation of a Bitcoin reserve. Security concerns. Holding billions of dollars in Bitcoin requires state-of-the-art cybersecurity measures to protect against hacking and theft. The stakes are incredibly high when dealing with digital assets. Public perception. Not everyone is sold on Bitcoin. Critics argue that it's too volatile, environmentally unsustainable, or not fully understood. Gaining widespread public and political support for a Bitcoin reserve could be challenging. Timing the market. If the government buys Bitcoin at a high price and it crashes, critics could use this as ammunition to question the strategy. Timing the market is notoriously difficult even for experts. So is a US strategic Bitcoin reserve a good idea? While there are risks, the potential benefits are massive. A Bitcoin reserve could diversify the US economy, provide a hedge against inflation, and establish America as a leader in the financial revolution brought on by blockchain technology. It could also have ripple effects on the crypto market, pushing Bitcoin into the mainstream and driving global adoption. Whether this becomes reality or remains a concept, one thing is clear. Bitcoin's role in the global economy is growing, and the US can't afford to ignore it. And that's a wrap on the US Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. What do you think? Should the US go all in on Bitcoin, or is this too risky? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into crypto and finance. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.